Another day, another beautiful window into the African bush with me as your guide for the next 45 minutes. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Africam show. We are very excited, as usual, because it is freezing where I am at the moment and where the rest of the Africam team are, and we love to live vicariously through these cameras. And we're starting off right here at Oldonyo, where we have a very busy giraffe. Lots and lots of oxpeckers all over. Now remember that we're live and interactive, so send through your questions and your comments. Let me know the usual, how you're doing, what are the updates from the cameras, have you noticed anything interesting? Let me know. Now I should probably have a cup of tea, but I was very busy today and I kind of forgot. But that's okay, I can sit on my fingers instead. Now, recently here at Oldonyo, what was it, last week, I saw a giraffe with a very interesting injury, and I wonder if any of you have seen that giraffe since. It kind of looked like a young bull, but on the front ankle, so you see those first big joints? Well, not ankle, wrist, I should say. The first large bendy joints that you see in the front, I think it looked as if a bone was jutting out of those, or one of the ankle joints. If you've seen it, please let me know. It was such an interesting injury, and I know that some of you watch the cams a lot, and a lot of you have great animal knowledge. And there's one or two vets as well. If you've seen that injury, let me know. I'd love to talk about it and learn more about it. But the giraffe we're looking at right now looks absolutely fantastic, in fabulous condition. A nice thick neck, nice round belly, and plenty of oxpeckers going to work. Oh, I've got a lot of hellos coming through, all the usual suspects. We've got Kauru and her milk here. Hello, Kauru. Amber Ko is around too. She says, happy Tuesday to all. Cold water to drink here this morning. I would go for warm water, but water's always good regardless of the temperature. DNC says, good morning, ready with your coffee in a sunny Seattle. Nice to hear it. And W. Bouchard, you say hello from Toronto in Canada. Hello, Toronto. And to you. Jean Gale says, hello, hello. Here with your Seattle coffee, enjoying the fresh morning air. That sounds wonderful. I'm so glad that so many of you join us early in the morning. It's a nice way to start your day. Jack de Boer, you say, what a cool giraffe. It's a very good giraffe. Really in fantastic condition. Doesn't look very old. Or she doesn't, I should say. The ossicones still have a lot of hair on it. I'm not seeing any dangly bits between the back legs. And the belly is pretty round. And the roundness of the belly is not something you can use to tell sexes apart. It's just something that helps me along. I find that female giraffes have a slightly rounder belly, or a more obvious rounder belly towards the back legs. So if I'm thinking about all the things I look for, the ossicones, the obvious testicles hanging, and the penis sheath, if I can't see those properly, then I also look at the size of the belly, and all those things add up. But as you can see, none of this, the male genitalia, so definitely a cow. Timber Grace says, good morning and long time no see, cloudy, damp Minnesota with a needed coffee. Nice. Welcome, Timber Grace. Oh, talking about that injury, Zygote, you were saying, yes, you did see the injury. It looks really terrible. I know it was also quite strange in that the giraffe seemed to be able to put pressure on it, but it was visibly swollen, and obviously there was that what looked like bone jutting out, but it didn't make sense that bone would jut out from a joint that is taking a lot of pressure from the rest of the body and bearing a lot of weight, and that the giraffe would still be able to put so much of the weight on that foot. But it looked just awful. Oh, Mindy Tillapal. Hi, Mindy. You say you think Ben saw it during live at the waterhole this morning. Ah, but couldn't get a good look at it. That's interesting. If Ben saw it this morning, maybe we might be able to see it again. Just for stop, you say, good day, everyone. You have some work to do, but the Africam show is a great reason to procrastinate. Yes, it is. It's I've never known such wonderful self-destructive tendencies where we procrastinate with the most wonderful things, like here at King's Camp, back down in South Africa from Oldonyo. We are here in the Timbavati, and we have some lovely buffalo. I love the sounds here at King's Camp, and it's something I've noticed with the cameras that are positioned in this way, same with Oldonyo. Because it's positioned so low to the ground, we get really, really wonderful audio coming from the water, coming from the movements of the legs on the ground or in the water, the splashing, and the birds that hang around on the periphery and the edges of the waterhole. We get really nice, clear sound. Now, these look like a couple Duggar boys. Oh, I can't say I've seen one Duggar boy lick the horns of another. But considering the dynamics of a bachelor herd like this, it's not unusual for them to show affection. We don't think of buffaloes as those types of animals that genuinely show affection, and I must admittedly say that I don't see it often. But they still have social bonds to strengthen. Can't say I've seen licking of the horns, but I've definitely seen against each other and things like that. I feel like something's about to happen. All the time, I don't know what it is about Naledi, but when I come here, whether it's during this show or whether I'm looking at this camera on other days, I always feel like there's so many areas for things to be lurking. I might also be biased because I remember we've seen lions here, we've seen a leopard here, we've seen that civet that used to go on the territorial patrol. I don't know if he's been seen again recently. But there's lots of shadows here. I always feel like something may just pop out. Now, speaking of leopards, Andy, hi Andy, you say good afternoon. Trish, in the past couple of months, we've seen 3 different female leopards at the same waterhole at Katmai Pan. Given that leopards are very territorial, would sightings like this indicate maybe they are all related? That would be my first thought. So, you said these were all female leopards, so that makes a little bit more sense. Oh, hello, Game Drive vehicle. Coming to see this elephant, perhaps? We also want to see the elephant. But let's go back. Let those visitors enjoy that sightseeing. Here we are at King's Camp. So, Andy, female leopard, so a mother leopard who gives birth, and she has female cubs. What she does is she donates part of her territory to her female cubs. And what ends up happening is that the females, obviously, once they are independent and have territory of their own, have a significant overlap with their mother's territory. Not more than half, definitely less than that, and obviously it varies. Some leopardesses will have just a boundary with their mother, some might be quite far from their mother, others will overlap significantly. And that's very different to male leopards, which disperse very far or can disperse very far from their natal territory. So I would imagine if you're seeing 3 female leopards visiting the same pan, say that either the pan is in an area that intersects a couple boundaries, territorial boundaries, and it is something that's happened before. I know 2 leopardesses that their territorial boundary, I mean, there's an overlap of maybe a road, but their territorial boundary, there's a waterhole that sits right on that boundary, but they are completely unrelated. So that's one possibility. Of course, it would have to be very lucky for that to happen, just, having the waterhole at the right place and those territories being right next to the waterhole. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that there is a female, and this is maybe both her offspring. Now that donation of territory, of the mother giving away a portion of the territory. Oh my. Sorry, Andy, I'm just going to finish up this thought and then I'll tell you what I noticed here. That idea of female leopards donating a portion of their territory to their daughters doesn't extend to their granddaughters, not as far as we know. It's only a courtesy extended between mothers and daughters. So I don't know if we're seeing 3 generations. I would say a female and 2 of her female offspring is the likeliest scenario. Even her sister, if it was the mother and she had a sister, the sisters are not going to share a portion of their mother's territory that's been donated. So I don't think it's that. I would say the most likely scenario is, or maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's a female, a portion of a territory that overlaps with her daughter, and that's 2. And the third one is an unknown or unrelated female whose territory borders that area. And we're back up to Old Donio where everything is happening. My goodness, no need to scream. Oh, this little baboon is losing it. What's going on? Okay, this just looks like a ton of mischief. Lots of mums with babies here. I'm trying to figure out what was triggering the screaming. Now, baboons are very, very intelligent. And if you hear screaming, it's not always to alert another group member to the presence of danger or anything like that. We're back at King's Camp now. Sometimes youngsters can scream to get their mother's attention. And basically to be otherwise manipulative. It definitely can happen. Oh, there we go, back my lady dam. So the thing I noticed, Andy, as I was chatting to you about the leopards and territory, was when we were at King's Camp with those buffaloes, there's quite a show of dominance going on there in the most subtle way. by just revealing the junk in their trunk, I should say. They were extending out their penises, which is something that is also a show of dominance. Back here at Naledi, though, things are much more conservative. I like that, especially here, the elephants can kind of use the different sections for different things. We know that elephants are really picky about the water that they drink. And if they're at a dam that doesn't have a conveniently placed well with nice clean water that's not muddy, if it weren't for this, what they would usually do is drink first, then spray mud on themselves, or move to an area. If there are animals that want to spray mud and others who want to drink, they'll divide themselves, but they won't do it at the same spot. Oh, look at this baby getting a little bit of help. It's always tough for babies to reach down and grab that good water from the well. This mama just came and gave the baby a little bit of a push. Oh, that was too sweet. They always have a great time at this well. That's what I was waiting for, these sounds. Every time I see elephants do this, sucking up water and then blowing it back out, there's a couple scenarios I see it in. One, if they want to drink, but the water is really not that clean, which I don't think is the case here because all the other elephants are drinking quite happily from the well. If they are a little playful, they'll also do this. But I was just wondering to myself, considering this is a cow, cows are not the most playful elephants, or I should say adult cows. So I don't think that's what's causing her to blow water out of her trunk. We know that the water is probably pretty good quality. Everyone else is drinking it happily. So I wondered to myself, is this also a way of cleaning their trunk? Because I'm sure they get mucus and things building up in it, because remember, it is the fusion of the nose and the upper lip. So I'm sure there's dust, there's mucus. Perhaps all that hoovering around the bush also picks up little rocks and little other things that ought not to be in your nostrils. And perhaps this is a way to clear them out. Well, we'll see if she starts drinking, unless she's already drunk. Now that smaller elephant on the left seems like it might want to... Oh, that looked quite angry. She walked away from her calf like she was fed up with it. And this calf is walking along following mum as if it knows it did something wrong. So I was saying that this individual that's left at the well, he kind of, oh yes, put your whole mouth in there. It kind of looked like it wanted to imitate the adult and spray some water too. Looks like it's just having some fun. It's a bit old to be just drinking water with its mouth, but that's something that's not really related to age. It's more related to the ability to use your trunk properly. And that's why we see drinking with the mouth, like, putting the mouth to the water, most often in young elephants before their tusks have started to appear. Now, this individual, you can see that it's got tusks. But if you can drink with your mouth, why not? You also see it in elephants who have trunk injuries, particularly if the trunk has been shortened significantly. Then drop down and drink with their mouths to the water. You just look like you are way causing some mischief. Come on now, you don't want to get left behind. I think this might be a little boy. No, don't poop in that water. Don't do it. But he is showing us the other fantastic use of a well, like this. Get a good scratch. Oh, and it's the perfect height for this little elephant. Maybe that's why he's enjoying it so much. It's his perfect height. He can scratch underneath his chin. His head is just perfectly placed to be able to suck up water, put his trunk fully in there, put his mouth in there, the perfect height for his butt. Oh yes, what else can you do? Let's have a look. Do not stand up there. Well, it's a perfect height for many things, but it seems just a couple centimeters too high for him to get his arms on it, or his front legs. Oh, that was so sweet. April Owl, you made it. You say good morning. I'm late, but happy to be here finally. Yeah, very glad that you were able to join us. And Andy, you are very welcome. I'm really interested to see some of those leopards at Katmai. The other day, I was having a look at the Africams, and I saw that there was a leopard at Jabulani. It was at Leopardess Shadulu, and I really wanted to see her because she has a scarred eye, and I wanted to see it. And I got to. Anyway, now we're back up at Old Donyo. Here we have our wonderful yellow baboons, a giraffe, and an impala. So I was talking to you a little about baboon intelligence and how manipulative they can be. And things like screaming, maybe even pretending that you're injured when you're not. All those tactics are quite manipulative. And that's a really important part of baboon relationships, or I should say, strategizing your relationships within the troop. Some individuals are close friends, but they won't mate. They just happen to be close friends. And they form alliances. And though we know that it's the alpha male who's in charge in the baboon troop, that position is open. So anyone can come in and challenge that position. Nice eland coming through too. And because of this, because it's an open position, or it's an openly competitive position, I should say, that means that females that want to protect their youngsters have to really form relationships with other males in the troop to make sure it's kind of like hedging her bets. So if the alpha male gets toppled and male A takes over, she's already kind of friendly with male A. But maybe she doesn't know male A, but she's friends with male B, who's best friends with male A. It's complicated, but those little relationships really help. And it helps to protect the youngsters because we know that infanticide can happen in baboon troops. Oh, this looks like the alpha. My goodness, he's chunky. I saw something interesting. It was a while back, but I'm not sure I told you about it. But so down here in southern Africa, we have chakma baboons. And I was watching a troop of chakma baboons, and I saw what was very clearly the alpha male. He was bigger than everyone else. He was dominant in his behavior. He was sitting perched up on a dead tree and just kind of chilling there. Not like a sentinel, not looking out. He looked like the king of the castle. And then a little baby came and joined him, and he jumped down and he took the baby and gestured for it to go around his stomach like it would on its mother. Oh, I love a good look at the crevices, yeah? You never know what you might find. So it was confusing because the youngster was behaving as if it was his mother, but it was clearly the alpha male. Anyway, it was interesting. I watched it, but then they moved off. And then I learned that others had seen this as well, and that apparently that little infant had been, for lack of a better word, been kidnapped by this alpha. I think what that really means is that the alpha took possession of this child, of this infant, but not really kidnapped in the sense because it was the same troop. But what ended up happening was that this infant that was following around with this male, I guess forcibly, was not being fed by its mother anymore. So it died about a couple weeks after I saw them together. But that infant died because the alpha could not provide milk for the infant. But it blew my mind how that could happen, and the social dynamics around that. It also showed the power that the alpha wields, not only over the troop members, the adult troop members, like the mother of this infant, but also over the infant. And perhaps the power of the alpha that extends down generations, because the mother would have allowed the alpha to take her child and to dominate over the child or infant. But it was just a really, really interesting thing to witness. Now, Chacma baboons, olive baboons, yellow baboons are closely related. And their behaviors are, or their social behaviors are pretty similar. Now, Mindy, you were talking a little, or you asked, just on time, what are the major differences between the species of baboon? Oh, is that a jackal? I just saw a jackal running past in the distance. Can we find it, Kirst? It might have run too far now. No. Nope. Okay. Well, it's nice to see a jackal anyway. So many Chacma baboons, we see Chacma baboons in southern Africa. For me, they always say that Chacma baboons have a more dog-like face, but I don't really see it. I guess because I mostly spend time with Chacma baboons, I haven't seen yellow or olive baboons in person, or might have, but definitely not memorable and not having spent intimate time with them. Now, here at Aldonio, you're seeing the yellow baboons, that's the most common ones. But you might also see olive baboons, but it's unlikely at this camera. They do occur in this area, but we know that the baboons we usually see here are yellow baboons. When it comes to olive and yellow baboons, it is difficult to tell the difference. Yellow baboons have quite an obvious yellowy tinge to them. And olive baboons, to me, look a little more like Chacma baboons in their face. They have more of a greeny kind of tinge to their fur compared to this goldeny yellow you can see here with these yellow baboons. Now these yellow baboons also, well, I guess baboons in general, when people were naming them and came across them and described them, the face is kind of dog-like, I suppose. But when we say dog-like, I think it mostly refers to, and because it's a visual and subjective thing, it's hard to say this is what it refers to. But I think it refers to the protrusion of the face. Now, with yellow baboons, you see that protrusion quite obviously. I see it with Chakma baboons as well, but the facial features of the Chakma baboon remind me more of an olive baboon. But the olive baboon has this kind of looks like a unibrow that the other baboons kind of have too. And we're back at King Camp. But anyway, with the olive baboon, I find that unibrow thing going on a little more prominent than with the other baboons. Amber Coe, we're just talking about, or I was telling you about that baboon story. Before I answer your question, Amber Coe, Jean Gale, you say, what a fascinating and somber baboon story. It was, and yeah, I'm sharing it, or I shared it with you, not because I had answers, but because I thought it was so fascinating. It really gets us to think about the dynamics, power dynamics, social dynamics that goes on in a troop. Now, Amber Coe, you were wanting to know, would the alpha baboon have taken the baby to get the mother to go into estrus again? I mean, yes, he could have done that, but I would think that he would just kill the infant if that's what he wanted. Because if the infant is still alive, she's unlikely to go into estrus again. Um, so I would imagine he'd kill the infant, not just take it along with him for several weeks. And I must say that when I did observe them, he seemed to be very affectionate to the youngster. He was grooming it, and he was patting its head. Oh, we have a lion at Tembe! This is nice. Always a pleasant surprise when we get to see a predator during this show, isn't it? So, Amber Code, the answer there is maybe. Maybe he did that, but there were definitely easier ways, or more efficient ways, I should say, to get the mother of that baboon infant to go back into estrus. What are you thinking, lioness? Perhaps you want to push aside all this floating vegetation and have a drink? Or maybe you're going to surprise us all and have a swim across. I doubt she'll swim across. There's no good reason for her to swim across. Now, we have seen a lioness on her own here before. I wonder if it could be the same lioness. There are definitely lionesses that do break away and live on their own, temporarily, that is, because lions are social cats. They need to bond and live together. But there are always outliers. Look at those muscles. Her front legs, her shoulders. She is strong. Now, Tembe is a closed reserve, so the numbers around here of lions are going to be closely monitored. So you're not going to, or you're likely not going to get big prides anyway. But this is where we normally see F70 and Astarte. Oh, what was Astate's brother's name? I haven't seen or thought about them in such a long time. Greedy, that's it. Greedy. So Kirst has told me that F70 and Astarte have disappeared. We haven't had a sighting of them in a long time, so I don't know who this is that we're looking at. Seems like lion dynamics are just all over the place, everywhere. Jack de Boer, you say she must be there to drink? Um, I mean, that's definitely one of the reasons she would come to this area, to the waterhole. But if she wanted to drink, I would imagine she would go straight to the water and drink. She doesn't really have to look out for anything. She doesn't have to be concerned about too much. She would if she were in a territory of another lioness, and if this is an unknown female and we don't know her and she's trying to just keep a low profile. Oh, there we go. Hello. Here comes another. So I guess Jack de Boer, we were witnessing a pass through. She was just waiting for her companion, perhaps her sister. Bridget McKinney, these are some amazing lionesses. They look in great condition, really nice and strong, thick front quarters there. No collars. Remember, Astarte and F70 had collars. I wonder if they're new to this area. It's very hard to tell if they're young. One thing you want to look out for is the pinkness of their nose. They tend to darken with age. So if you're still seeing it quite light and a little pinky, then they could be just adults. There they go through the bushes there. They're going to pop out on the other side. Not hearing a single alarm call. As if everyone at the waterhole cleared out. And they could tell that the lionesses were close by. With the breeze in the air, you can see that's not very far-fetched. They could definitely pick up on the scent of a predator and move. Grumpy old man, you say Tawny Tuesday. Yes, it is a Tawny Tuesday. Nice. Well, that definitely heated me up, everyone. I am leaving you all feeling much warmer, having spent time in the African bush, where it's lush and beautiful with some elephants, lion, baboons, eland, giraffes, impala. We've had some wonderful variety. And thank you all for your questions and your comments as usual. It's always a pleasure to spend this time with all of you. So I'll see you again on Thursday, and for now, keep watching the cams.